The juvenile races, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Sprint, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, and the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf. Still, at this point in the season, it's really difficult to get a handle on any of the 2-year-olds. None of them have really run farther than 6 furlongs, and they've just begun to run that distance. Although at 6 furlongs, you start to get an indication of who might have the ability to sit off the pace. Because typically what 2-year-olds do early in their career, the gate opens and they just run as fast as they can, as far as they can, and see who can hang on. But we're starting to get a feel for some horses that have a little bit of ability. One that has caught my eye is Majestic City. He won the Hollywood Juvenile Championship last weekend, and what was interesting to me was in his maiden win and in his first race against winners, he recorded the 2 fastest speed figures of a 2-year-old out there on the West Coast. So he was heavily favored in the championship race, and he won that, so he may have some quality. Now, can he go 2 turns? Is he a candidate for the sprint? Who knows at this point. Let's now turn our attention to the Breeders' Cup Marathon. The Breeders' Cup program has a series of races called Win and You're In, and it gets you an automatic berth into the Breeders' Cup races, and in particular gets you into whatever race this one qualifies for. Well, Saturday was the Greenwood Stakes at Parks Racetrack, which used to be called Philadelphia Racetrack, and the favorite there was Bird Run. Bird Run had won the Grade 2 Brooklyn Handicap at Belmont as much the best. Well, he set an easy pace and he got away with it and he held on. And he was faced off against A.U. Minor, who won this race last year. I've seen Bird run here at Calder. Not that impressed, so I was very anxious to play against him. A.U. Minor looked to be the best horse in the field. The only problem was he was a deep closer, and typically at a distance like this, where you're going 1.5 miles, 1 3/8 or something like that, closers usually don't fare as well as what you would think, because the pace is usually pretty slow. Well, A.U. Minor made a big move on the turn.
Is making a huge run toward the lead on the outside. A.U. Minor is just going to sweep by the ball. They come to the top of the stretch, and the Greenwood Cup is going to be all A.U. Minor.
Much the best, much the best. A.U. Minor ran 3rd in last year's Breeders' Cup Marathon, and I haven't seen that many horses that want this kind of ground, and that's one of the problems with the Breeders' Cup Marathon, because we don't run too many dirt races at this marathon distance. But I would say of the ones I've seen and read about, A.U. Minor has to rank near the top based upon his performance last year, 3rd in this race, and with his recent run in the Greenwood Stakes. Let's turn our attention now to the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint. There were 3 races that were run over the past couple weeks that would maybe impact the Filly and Mare Sprint. 2 of them were run locally at Calder's Summit of Speed. The first was the Grade 3 Azalea Stakes, which is restricted to 3-year-olds. The winner of that race, Devilish Lady, is a local multiple stakes winner. The only time she'd ever run in Greatest Stakes Company before, she got buried. Today, she just got a real good trip on the rail. There wasn't a lot of quality in the race, and she held on. I don't think she'll have much impact on this championship race. However, in the Grade 1 Princess Rooney, Sassy's Image had shipped in from Churchill Downs to run. I didn't like Sassy's Image here at Calder for a couple of reasons. First of all, Sassy's Image, and it's one of the reasons I like her in the Breeders' Cup, 5 of her 6 career wins have come at Churchill Downs. Secondly, Calder's racing strip tends to, especially on Summit of Speed Day, favor those who are front runners or right near the pace. Quick horses not come from behind horses. Well, Sassy's Image is a closer. Sassy's Image obviously likes Churchill Downs better, and she was going to be the favorite. So I played against her. Well, thought I was pretty smart when going down the backstretch. They hit the far turn, and Sassy's Image was 20 lengths behind. As they turned for home, she's still more than a dozen lengths behind. But in one of those most dramatic comebacks in a sprint race, Sassy's Image got up to win the race. So to me, that effort on a track that is not her favorite, against her running style, and she still was able to win, that moves her up in my book as a serious threat in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint. The other race in this division was out west at Hollywood, the Grade 2 A Gleam Handicap. The horse that won that got an easy lead. In fact, the horse I thought was going to get an easy lead and steal it, and my jockey decided not to go to the front. So the front runner was an upset winner. Granted, it was a photo finish as 2 of the favorites were trying to run her down, but Really, it was the long shot that held on, and the photo finish, it wasn't really that close. I don't think any of those runners will have any impact. So right now, my rankings for the Filly Mare Sprint, I still like Turbulent Descent. She's not just a synthetic horse, and we'll find out a lot more about her when she runs this next month in the Grade 1 test at Saratoga. And number 2 is Sassy's Image. In fact, I list her as a 1A because really impressed with her run in the Princess Rumi. And then I like Switch. I still think Switch is a classy sprinter if they just would let her run at 1 turn instead of continuing to try her around 2 turns. Let's now turn our attention to the next race on the Friday card, the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf. The 2 races that were run recently that may affect the Filly and Mare Turf, first was on Arlington Million Preview Day, and on August the 13th I will be in Chicago for the Arlington Million, so I'll see many of these top class fillies. Well, on Arlington Million Preview Day they ran the Grade 3 Modesty. My selection was Wasted Tears, who is the best front-running filly and mare on the turf. However, she has distance limitations. She's gone 1 1/8, but really what she wants is a mile. I thought she had a chance to steal it, even though it was probably too far for her, and even though she set an easy pace, she did collapse at the end. The race was run by a filly by the name of Fantasia, and she got a good buyer, a 103, which is pretty strong. However, she doesn't look to me to have a major impact. Now, should she run well in the Grade 1 Beverly D on Arlington Million Day, then maybe I'll reevaluate my opinion. The other race that could have some potential to have an impact on this race was run at Hollywood. It was the Grade 1 American Oaks. Went 1 1/4. It was restricted to 3-year-olds. My selection did not win. In fact, my selection ran 5th. However, she was only beaten a length. It was a real tight finish. In fact, it was a dead heat for the win. I'm not really sure that any of those fillies are going to impact the likes of my top selections in this division. Kirtana, who beat the boys in the Grade 3 Louisville handicap on the Churchill Downs turf. Winter Memories, who's a strong second chance. She's going to run at Saratoga. We'll find out if she's continued to grow and blossom. And Harmonious. I really think Harmonious from the West Coast has got a strong chance in this field, depending on what Europeans come. So my top 3 are Kirtana, Winter Memories, and Harmonious. Next, let's look at the big race on Friday, the Breeders' Cup Ladies Classic. As I talk to you today, you can see that I'm dressed in my pink shirt, and behind me is Blind Luck in her pink silks. Blind Luck is one of my favorite fillies, and it was her race in the Grade 2 Delaware Handicap that probably has the strongest impact on this division in the last few weeks. The Delaware Handicap was easily one of the best races of the summer, if not the best race. It featured my leading filly mare in this division, Havre de Grace, who's been ultra impressive all year long, and she was facing off with her nemesis, Blind Luck. The two had met 5 times before. Blind Luck had finished in front of Havre de Grace 3 times, and 3 of the races that they had squared off against one another had finished in photo finishes. In fact, nearly all of Blind Luck's races end in photo finishes, as she's a deep closer. Well, this turned out to be nearly the same thing. As they squared off and spun into the stretch, you could tell it was going to be a strong duel. And as they dueled through the stretch,
here comes Blind Luck up on the outside, charging in the second, and the rivalry continues. Havre de Grace and Blind Luck as they head for home. Havre de Grace is out. Blind Luck is making a patented run, and these 2 fantastic fillies are going at it once again. Blind Luck on the outside. Havre de Grace is battling game on the inside. What a great pair of fillies. Havre de Grace, Blind Luck, way to the winner, just like the next last year. Who's going to get the nod?
oh, that was a great finish and a great race. So close. Blind Luck traveling all the way from California to take on Havre de Grace on her home track, and I just thought it was a huge effort from Blind Luck. So at this point in time, I'll move Blind Luck up ahead of Havre de Grace in my rankings, although I will say this, that we'll see how the 2 of them progress towards the Breeders' Cup, because Havre de Grace does have a better running style, being able to sit closer to the pace, whereas Blind Luck likes to come from off of it. However, Blind Luck has won 2 races at 1 1/8 over the Louisville track, so that's a real good advantage for her. So my top races, my top ladies in this division are Blind Luck, Havre de Grace, and the New York sensation, who's 4 for 4 this year, the 4-year-old Awesome Maria. So let's turn our attention now to Saturday, November the 5th, and the big day of championship races on Breeders' Cup weekend.